Greetings and welcome, everyone. I am VLYNN HAWKINS, your host of the Health, Wisdom, and Wealth TV show. I am so excited to bring to you my beautiful friend, and today's guest is Joci James. And what's so wonderful is I get to celebrate her yet another, just for another amazing thing. She's just, I sometimes marvel at who she is and what she does because, we often wonder what's it going to be like when we get to, a certain age. For me, a lot of it was what's going to happen when I get to 55, the double nickel, right? And then now 66 and the things that are happening in my life right now. But to really understand what it is like to be an octogenarian in the 80s and now a nonagenarian in her 90s. My dear friend Joci James is actually going to be talking to us about disrupting the norms around aging. And she's such an inspiring person. We originally talked and we were going to talk about Joci's Miracle Grove. You'll see in a minute behind her the greenery that she lives in and around. And she's just got this green thumb. I'm like, send some my way. And part of that is her sense of humor. And if you ever wanted to know what it feels like to be someone in their 90s, vibrant, healthy, moving into the next phase of life. And we'll talk about that too, because she's got an amazing view of what that next phase of life is. We're going to talk about it right here. No holds barred, the truth on the table. And so kick back, enjoy. We are here with Miss Joci James. And let me just share with you a little bit about Joci. She's the CEO of Joci James International. She is the life strengths detective, and she's a healthy lifestyle advocate. I mentioned about all the greenery and her green thumb and her green laughter. And she's a healthy nonagenarian at the age of 93. I am in such awe and amazement because my friend Joci James and I have known each other since I can't even think about what age I was when we met, but I know what age she was when we met and the things that she has done since then. We met when she was 88. She has since published a book, written and published a book. She has created a course. She has spoken in front of groups of people on stages. She has spoken via video in Zoom. And, a lot of people in their late 80s are just so terrified of being in this digital space. Joci was like, bring it on. And I love her for that. She is going to be in the conversation with me today about disrupting aging, discovering the best of you, which means discovering the best in you. Because what's in you is what comes out, and it is also what carries you through decade to decade to decade. So welcome, Joci. I'm so excited that you're here today.
Thanks, VLYNN. I really appreciate your inviting me. This is such an interesting concept. I listened to one of your interviewees this morning and learned so much. I just know that it's going to be the key for most people, a lot of people, to tune in and find out how they can grow their life to a higher level. And we talked about this word nonagenarian. I can hardly even pronounce it. And it's really kind of a scary word in a way. And I know when I turn In my 80s, we looked up, what does that mean? And it was octogenarian. And I thought, geez, that reminds me of an octopus with a lot of legs and crawling around. And when I think about it, yeah, that pretty much describes me. I crawl around a lot and I get into a lot of stuff, some mischief. And people ask me what I'm doing and how I am. And I say, well, I've been keeping myself off the streets and out of trouble because I sometimes can get into trouble when I get out. So, the laughter part is, I think, what too keeps me going, and that sense of humor. And, I call it a time when I am pivoting. And pivoting to me has been so important in the course this last year, because we had to change a lot of things about how we think about how things have to be. And things don't have to be a certain way. And neither does aging. And people also ask me where I live. Where do you live? How do you spend your days? And I tell them I live in the land of awe. And that stands for aging with ease. And I think that's been one of our maybe disrupting and sort of dreary things we've thought about aging, is that it's hard. It's just hard. And it doesn't have to be hard. And I'm a living example of that's true. We can pivot into a different vision of how we think about aging. And that opens up a whole lot of opportunities for us to change, us to look into new ways to live our lives. And of course, we all want to live a long life. That's just a desire. We want to still have what we've got now and be able to enjoy it. Well, if you don't have good health, you're certainly not going to enjoy it. So that was one of the reasons that I really got serious about my health. And another reason was that I developed a autoimmune disease when I was in my 60s, and I knew nothing about health. I knew nothing about taking care of myself. I was raised by a Southern mother with lots of fried chicken and things that were heavy on the grease side and all of that. I had no idea about the food, how important the food is that we eat. And of course it was delicious. She didn't know, and they didn't have to worry about that in her days, because we didn't have all the things that we have now that disrupt our food supply and the nutrition that's in it, that disrupt the fact that it's not going to be as nutritious as we would like. And so I looked at, things that would, as we've coined the word, miracle grow, the things that would fertilize our actual body, that would help it to grow more healthy. And then I got into the helping people to have a better life as far as the way they lived, the way they looked at life. I was a skincare specialist for quite some time, and it was all about the outer beauty. And I thought that's what beauty was. Beauty is how we look. I had no idea that beauty comes from in. Ah, what a revelation. And how easy that is. You were born with it. So that's another way to make it much more easy for us to grow more beautiful and more healthy in our whole life. And that makes a difference in the quality of our later years.
That is so great. And you're so right. And it's one of the beautiful things that I just love about you, because you've had this very varied life that you've lived. You grew up on a farm. You were cosmetologist to the stars out in Hollywood, right? In Beverly Hills. You were, a mom, a wife, even now, that some of the things that you're doing now in this space of advocating for healthy living and healthy lifestyle. Along the journey, there was a place where you decided you wanted to be the life strengths detective. And I mean, from the hat and the monocle to, just picking up that whole persona. Tell us a little bit about what that was about and what you were able to do with that.
Well, that came about just because I was in the skincare business and I did makeup for the stars and for a lot of events and so forth that helped women to really feel their most beautiful outward look. And I would hear oftentimes when I got through with their facial and their makeup and all the things I did to help them to be more beautiful, they would get up out of my chair and they'd say, "Oh, but," and I would think, after all of that, they still don't feel beautiful. And then I learned, of course, through my journey of learning and growing, that if beauty is from within. It comes through the eyes, the soul. You see the soul of your eyes show up in your soul. Um, and that came about because as I grew up, I had an extreme self-identity problem. I had a self dislike. I felt ugly. I felt dumb. And I thought I would never, ever be anything other than a housewife and a mother, which I was for 25 years. And I'm pleased that I was, because that's a very, very honorable job, if you want to call it a job. However, and that was like, I wasn't even 60 yet. And I thought, okay, I got a divorce, and how am I going to make a living? I have only a high school education. I have no experience in anything. And so that's when my journey started of what I call the makeover of Joci. And it was actually from the inside out. And that's how I felt so compelled to help other women to help themselves by learning that they had value both inside and out, and their value was not totally their looks. And that took a lot of reconditioning and disturbing their thoughts about how they felt about themselves. Did I answer your question?
You did, because, and it does with all of us. It starts with us in discovering our gifts and our talents, and sometimes we overlook them. Sometimes we want to downplay them because we have never had someone outside of ourselves to validate who we are. But a lot of times, what you were talking about, the detective work that you were doing, was helping women to really see who they were from the inside out. And sometimes you actually have to go find that stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I called it, the detective life strengths detective, because there's so oftentimes we grew up with the idea that talking about or even developing your talents and gifts was to be kept a secret. Because if you did talk about it or come out from under the bushel, as it says in the Bible, it was called braggadocious or boasting. So we know we don't talk about that. So it was a secret. If you even had an inkling that you were talented, say as an artist or any of those areas, it was like, oh, no, I can't do that. And through the years, oftentimes I've asked people, what do you love? What are you interested in? What are your talents? What are your hobbies? Well, I don't have any, was their answer. And that's not true. That they do. They're right there. They were years from your birth. And so that's why I started that investigation journey.
Beautiful. Well, tell us a little bit about how that journey kind of played out, because out of that came your book and your course. What's the name of the book?
4 Ds of Discovering the Best of You. And it's more of a workbook, and I call it a joy book on the other hand, because once you really find that treasure, and I took people on a treasure hunt actually in the book, and it was just working out those 4 Ds and understanding it in a very simple way that could help you remember it and not make it anything hard to do. It was like playing a game. And I think we all like to play games. We like to feel like we're a kid again about things that we do, which takes the word hard out of the journey or out of the effort that we're applying.
Absolutely. And I'm looking right now to do something pretty amazing. And that is your book is on Amazon. And I don't know, can you see that?
I can, yes.
It is on Amazon, and it's actually a great read, but even more than that, it's a workbook. You can do some journaling in it. The editorial reviews and the biography are here. And one of the things that's different now than when you wrote the book was that you had this beautiful, beautiful head of red hair.
Yeah, and I thought I'd never give up and I'd never go silver. But you know what? That's another thing. That was a big surprise. I really like it. And it is so much less expensive. It's so much more easy. And there you go. Things don't have to be hard.
They don't. And
do you mind if I give you some credit here?
Sure. Thank you.
Well, Lynn was my editor, my everything. She helped me get it on Amazon, get it published and all of that. And we actually labored a little bit through that. And with her genius technology, she was able to get me through it, which of course, at my the days that I was growing up, there was no technology even to be thought of. So that's why most elders are a little afraid of technology and don't want to even get involved with it. And that's another beautiful thing that came out of my journey, is because of my curiosity and desire to learn. I have become, for my age, pretty efficient with technology. And that's one of the blessings. And of course, there again, Lynn was very, very supportive in helping me get through that with a lot of patience, I must say.
Well, thank you. You were just a joy to work with. It was just my pleasure and honor, because you did enough to share that you had a passion about getting this out here to help more women to discover their internal God-given gifts and talents and not be afraid to step out into the spotlight and shine, whether it was teaching or serving in some way, shape, or form. Because a lot of women still, even today, I look at some of the medical doctors who are moving from, focusing in their practice the way that they'd been for the last 10, 15 years. And they want to do more, to serve more. And it means they have to actually migrate into the digital world and be, not just on Zoom, but have a marketing strategy and know the things that are going on out in the digital marketing world. And they're afraid of it. And then once they get out there, they're feeling like they're an imposter because they haven't done things in this way before. And so what you are about and what you teach and what you share is about how, there's no obstacles except the ones that we put in front of ourselves. And that's the disruptor, you helping to disrupt the norm there. Now, go ahead.
There was a time when I thought disruption was a bad word. And then learning that, no, sometimes things have to be disrupted to be changed. And sometimes when we are facing a roadblock and trying to decide, okay, should I go right or should I go left? Those choices are very important. And when you think about it, a disruptor sometimes can be an advantage.
Yes, indeed. I call myself a disruptor. And I think I might have been one of those who helped to change your mind about that. I seem to recall us having a conversation or two.
I think you probably did. Yes. And I have many blessings to thank you for.
Well, thank you, Joci. And let's talk about some disrupting of old theories about how we think about aging. What do you feel are some of those old theories? I mean, you've mentioned a couple sprinkled in with story and everything. What are specifically some of those old theories and thoughts?
Well, certainly I lived through the days where, and we still are to a degree, but things, of course, are much better for elders now than they were actually when my mother and grandmother were both in that age group. And they were in not so good circumstances for the way they were lived in the nursing homes and so forth. And so that's the picture that I had in my mind. That was my vision of that's how it's going to be when you get to that time. And that's a very, very disappointing. It's a dark look. And that, sometimes makes you think, well, why am I taking care of myself so well when I don't even want to be there? And you look at it as being a lonely time, a time of not having any identity, not having a purpose, and it becomes a very dreary, lonely existence, and that's not to look forward to. So I really had said many times when I did visit those places with my relatives, oh my, this is wrong. This is just everything, all kinds of wrong. What can I do about it? And thinking small in those days, I'm thinking, I really don't have any way to do anything about it. I couldn't take care of them. So what are you supposed to do? So then it became so evident that the attitude about how we look at aging has to change before we can change the circumstances. And that's what my journey has been, to help to change that vision, that attitude in every way that I could possibly do it in sometimes we think too small. And I always thought, well, I can do very little. Well, think big and you can do a lot. And that's what I found out is how we can change this whole situation. And it's not only nationwide, it's worldwide. And we're doing all these things to help us to live longer. So we're getting to where we live past 100. And that's pretty easy to figure out how long that is after you reach 50, which a lot of people think is old and retirement age, 50 or 52. And are you going to spend those days without these advantages and the freedom that you have because you don't have the responsibilities of all the things that you had when you were younger? You had to have a job, you had to take care of your children, you had to feed your children, all those things. That was a responsibility. And you didn't have the freedom, and particularly women didn't have the freedom to do things for themselves. Well, yahoo, we can do it now because we're free. And we can choose to, sleep all day or do whatever we'd like to do for fun. We can, get up or not get up. We can attend whatever we want to attend or not. We have that choice every day. Now, when you were younger, did you have that choice? No. So see how much better it can be to be in this age group? It is. I feel the best I've felt in my whole life, mainly because I've learned so much I have so much knowledge, and knowledge is a commodity, about how we can change our attitude and how we can look at things differently. Just change the channel or something. You can see a different view. And by seeing a different view, I've changed myself in, so many ways. It's just amazing how, I would think, okay, you can't make people laugh, which is one of the things I love to do. You don't want to go around doing that. That's silly. And I would always, my mother was a big comedian, clown, and never saw a stranger. And I would be so embarrassed. I would think, oh, I know, I wish she wouldn't do that. And now I have the freedom to believe and know that that's quite okay. It makes people happy. And if I go out during the day anywhere and I just get one smile, I'm happy. So that way we're both happy because I know they feel better after they smile. And then if I can actually tell them something funny and they can laugh hard. I have one friend that laughs at almost everything I say, but she also snorts. So when she snorts, I say, okay, that's one snort. So when we leave each other, I'll say, okay, we had a 4 snort day. And
Oh,
she thinks it's funny, and I think we both laugh about it.
that is so cute. Yes, that is laughable. When I have one of those deep laughs, I might snort as well. I mean, it's something that actually you can look at and say is truly genuine. You know,
Yeah.
it's just truly genuine. Now, I love how you talked about, picturing, having this image about what your elder years might look like. And, it was a very graphic view of, you're right, back in the day, it did not look well. And it did not look like something that we might want for our lives. Now, with more people living into their hundreds, what are some of the things that you're looking at and establishing in that vision of 100 and 100 plus for your life?
Well, I don't want any part of it unless I can include quality of life in there. One thing to live a long life, but if you don't have the quality, it's not worth anything to me. And so in order to have quality of life, you have to have the ingredients to make that quality of life. It can be either like, the ingredients in a cake, or the ingredients in a garden, ingredients in a bottle, or a box of food you pick up. I look at every ingredient label. So the ingredients that I put into my body are going to be the ones that help me to grow and have a healthy life. And there's where the Miracle Grow comes in. Everything's about Miracle Grow. It doesn't have to be the garden type. It certainly would be your food type, or whatever else you put into your body or mind that is going to uplift, encourage, enrich, whatever your life and your body, mind, and spirit. So those are the things that I would look for. Now, let me see, did I answer your question? You asked me what are some things I think about. Is that right? The vision.
Yes. You said, quality of life is important at that 100 plus, and knowing that you're eating right. Now, do you still have your garden? Or are you still?
No, I do. I have a balcony garden, and I do plant some things in that. I've got a little bag that's called, it's a garden in a bag, and I've never heard of it. I think it's called Gardenuity or something like that, and that's full of herbs. And so I use those. I still cook 3 meals a day for myself. And the reason I do that is because I want to be sure I get the most nutritious food that I can put in my mouth. And the only way I know to do it is to do it myself, because just common sense tells you you're not going to get that in a restaurant. I buy all organic food. Are they going to pay for that? No. And speaking of organic food or any healthy food, a lot of people do think it's too expensive. And that's an investment for me. And, you invest in your body and your life, and you get a good return on that investment. And that shows up pretty quickly. So, we're looking at, whenever you're looking at your lifestyle and how you prepare yourself for an elder age, is you take the best of care for it. You wouldn't take your car into a place that didn't put the best oil or the best gasoline in it. So why wouldn't you have the same regard for your body?
That is so true. What great sage advice. Gosh, it just brought chills over me, because you're right. Why would we put things that are not the best for ourselves in our mouths? And,
one more little anecdote to that. Long ago, at least maybe 20 years ago, I was in the health food store or the grocery store, Whole Foods, and shopping in the vegetables. And there was this man there with 2 little girls. And I said, I'm so glad to see you getting nutritious food for your children. He says, well, ma'am, I look at this like I invest now or I pay later. And I just thought that was pretty young sage advice. And I've thought about that so many times when I look at the price of things, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And yet, it's an investment.
It really is. And, a lot of people think, well, I don't have time. to cook for myself, or I don't have time to cook for the family like that. It takes a lot of time to prepare those meals. What would you say to that?
I would say, how long do you wait in line to get a table?
Ooh,
Do you,
yeah.
does that bother you that you have to sit and wait for a table? In that length of time, you could have had a meal ready.
And then once you sit at the table, you have to wait before you place your order. You have to wait for your order to come back. And very true, you could have eaten by that time.
And it goes back to choices. You know, you certainly, if that's what you enjoy and that's what you want to do, then that's certainly what I would do. Certainly, I would look at the restaurants you go to and see, maybe find out, where did their food come from? You know, they don't, I'm sure, buy the most farm fresh, yard grown,
Mm-hmm.
or milk with, that's been in the fed, been raised in a field. The cows have been raised in a field, grass fed, all of that. No, they're not going to pay the price. And if you want the best and the healthiest, you'll eat in your own home. So I still cook 3 meals a day for me, just me.
That is so inspiring. So Joci, tell us a little bit about you. You and I talked the other day, and you mentioned that there were a couple of real solid action steps for someone who really wants to live and leave a legacy. You're living a legacy life. What are some of the action steps that you were speaking about, or that you would advise someone to take to start living their legacy life and, create something in their lives that's a legacy?
Well, first of all, I know, or I don't imagine that you have it, because I know I haven't. I didn't think about the fact that as we grow, we're living our legacy now. It's not when you're on that you have 4 days to live deathbed place. It's as you go. It's, you're making your legacy as you go and grow. So, it's real important that you think about what it is, discovering those talents and gifts. What do I have to offer? And looking at it in a big way, because it's very important. The gifts that you leave, and I was going to say this at the end, but I'll say it now, it's the gift that keeps on giving. So you understand that what you're leaving, because I've heard a lot of people say this too, I don't really have any legacy to leave. And they're thinking about money. They're thinking about their wills and how much monetary things that they have to leave for their family and loved ones. And that's not always the most valuable one. What you have, and you'll hear children of these parents or whomever has passed say, oh, they left me with the most precious gift. They showed me how to knit, or they showed me how to crochet, or they told me how to make this wonderful dish, or any of what we think is small things can be very, very large things in your loved one's life. So don't ever belittle your gifts that you have. They're always something that's very meaningful to others. And so the steps are just whatever it is it takes for you to know that you have this gift. Number one, identify it. And number two is to be able to define it. What is it? What does it do? How can I share that? And the next thing is to be able to develop it, make it into something that is viewable, seeable, doable for your loved ones. And then to share it. And that's, I just told you about the gifts. And another thing people have a misconception about is it a gift? And certainly it is. It's a gift. You're sharing what God gave you when you were born. And these talents most often are something you enjoy doing. And it can be labeled as any part of you that you are able to do and to share. And that comes back to you, tenfold. And it comes back to you long after you're gone. And I look at it like the attitude of planting a tree seedling now and expecting it to grow 100 feet. Think about it. You will not be here, but your gift will be.
Oh, that's beautiful. The vision of the tree. That is so beautiful. Well, and I'd love to stay on that, but as a segue into the legacy and living longer, we had a question come in. As women are living longer, more are living alone, without a spouse, without their children. They may have some contact with their children, but how do you fill your life in those elder years without a significant other? Do you have something on that?
Well, what I would say to that is you are your significant other. And you may not realize it, but it goes back to uncovering your identity, uncovering what you love to do. And in all of that, uncovering the fact that you are somebody that you love. And that's been a no-no in my earlier years too, because that would signify that you think you're pretty hot stuff, or you certainly are gloating your whatever, And now, if you can uncover all this wonderful glitter and gold that you have inside of you, and outwardly too, then you become a person you really want to be around. So my thing, I think, is the best thing you can do is be your own best friend. That way you'll never live alone. And certainly you have God with you, which is your friend. And in your heart, you have the love of yourself. And the heart is where that love comes from, which is your spirit. And that love will keep you warm. It will help you to beat to the music. It will do all the things, a lot of the things that a partner, or it doesn't matter, male or female, that would be with you and keep you company. That knowledge of knowing yourself will keep you from being lonely. And you will enjoy whatever it is. And the enthusiasm, I love the fact that I'm very curious. I'll dive into something new. There's even a streaming television program that's called Curiosity. And there are so many things on there. I think, oh, I want to do that. I want to see about that. I want to do this. And I get all excited and it wakes me up and I'm alive again. And I don't feel lonely because I've got all these things to do and someone to do it with me, which is my best friend, me.
Awesome. I love that. What great advice. Well, so Joci, and this might be hard since you've given us such great wisdom all throughout this conversation, as we've been disrupting thinking around aging. And I loved your acronym, AWE, living the age of awe.
Aging with ease.
Aging with ease, yes. So as we bring our conversation to a close, Joci, is there some wisdom that you believe is important to share right now? It's something that you want to make a positive impact on our viewers?
Well, I would say the first thing I would think about when you're really looking at something to do, something to think about, something to cook, whatever it is your next step in your day of programs or things that you want, like your to-do list. Think about the fact, is this going to be hard? If it's hard, I don't want to do it. Or is it going to be easy? And when you think of the easy stuff, and a lot of times, when you've been advised about your to-do list and all the myriad of things that you have to do in one day, you normally have 10 things to do, and you really are only interested in doing 5 or maybe 3. And so then you're disappointed with yourself if you don't get all those done. So do the easiest one first. That's what I've been advised. Do the easiest one first. Get that off your plate. So why not look at life that way? Do the easy stuff age with ease just means relax, let it happen, live in the moment. And that's all. That's been hard for me too. How can I live in the moment and still look at the vision of the end results? That's just a real big puzzle for me. Why can't I just look at what I'm doing right now? Do I enjoy this? Do I love this? If you don't, chuck it, give it away, get rid of it, put it in the toilet, whatever. Just get it out of your sight. Do only the things you love. You'll finish it, I guarantee you, because it's like, I'm not a game player, but a lot of people love to play games and they love to win. Well, you've already won when you pick something that you enjoy. Say you're sitting at bridge or whatever for an hour. If you don't enjoy that hour, then you've lost, whether you've lost in numbers or not. But you'll win at everything if you're doing what you love.
Yes, I totally agree. Get rid of it, delegate it. And for a lot of women who want to either start their new business or who are in business, they think that we have to do it all. I remember me being there. I have to do it all. No one can do it as good as I can, or, it's just going to be easier and quicker if I do it myself. Well, that is not only not serving you, it's not serving someone that you can help to grow and to learn things for themselves and to be a bigger contributor to what the world needs. And right now we know that the world needs more people like you, Joci James, who are expressing what they believe is the reason that they're here and helping other people. And I just love everything that you've talked about today. I'm so grateful that you are here with us and sharing your gifts and talents. And I want to encourage everyone, all of our listeners, all of our viewers on YouTube, Facebook, and everywhere else, as we're wrapping things up, I want you to consider, are you living the legacy life that you thought that you might live? And if not, what are some action steps you can take to really get on the journey of living that precious legacy life? And, even if it's going to require some major pivot, it starts with the first step. And that's one of the things that Joci was so willing to do for herself when she decided, I want to get this out there. I want this book out there. I mean, she was determined. So determination is a big piece of it. What is your next step? And if you need help, reach out to us. Put a comment below this video. Let us know. We have resources galore. You can take Joci's course. You can grab the book. I guarantee you it's going to take you on that journey of discovering the best of you. So thank you once again, Joci, for being here with us today.
Can I just say one more thing?
Of course.
Okay, life is like a garden. And so if you feed your body, mind, and spirit with Miracle Grow, you will blossom.
Oh, that is beautiful.
That's my own.
I was just going to
make up quotes.
we're going to put that one out there. That was a good one. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Lynn. I enjoyed being with you and the audience.
Well, once again, to our audience, if you have questions, if you want to reach out to Joci, her information will be below this video. We'll be publishing a couple of quotes as the days go on from here. And let us know about what else you might want to know about. Not many of us think that, we can bring a subject like Nonagenarianism into the conversation. But, if you're good to yourself, if you're feeding yourself the right foods and taking care of yourself, adding laughter into your life, you could invariably be in that 80, 90, 100 years old. What kind of life would you like to be living? Let us hear from you as far as subject matter that you want us to talk about. And remember, comment and share. We want others to know about this information too. And if you're a health, wisdom, or wealth practitioner and you'd like to share your knowledge and expertise with our audience to be in this conversation, this powerful conversations about living your best life, PM me. Message me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Email me at VLYNN at p3academy.com, and let's connect. Okay, everybody, we've got some exciting things coming up in future episodes. So do join us again next week and turn on your notifications, like our YouTube channel, and do us the favor of sharing. Like I'm going to share with you right now. Join us again for another episode of the Health, Wisdom, and Wealth TV show. And until next time, live, love, and be a bigger positive impact maker in the world today. Thanks again, and we will see you next time.